History is full of mysteries that make logic pack its bags and leave. Before we begin, if you enjoy strange history, forgotten secrets, and stories that sound completely made up but somehow aren't, join our Telegram community. The link is waiting for you in the description below. That's where we post extra facts, wild discoveries, and behind-the-scenes content that never makes it into the videos. Now grab your curiosity and prepare to question reality itself, because some mysteries aren't unsolved because people stopped looking. They're unsolved because the answers only seem to create even stranger questions. 1. The Voynich Manuscript, the book nobody can read. Imagine walking into a library and finding a book that looks perfectly normal at first glance. Pages, drawings, symbols, little illustrations of plants and people. Then you open it and realize something feels wrong. Every word inside appears to belong to a language that nobody on Earth understands. That's the Voynich Manuscript. For over a century, cryptographers, historians, mathematicians, and probably a few sleep-deprived people fueled entirely by coffee have tried to crack it. Military codebreakers from World War II looked at it. Computer scientists fed it into algorithms. Artificial intelligence examined patterns in the text. Nothing. The weirdest part? The writing behaves like a real language. Certain symbols repeat in predictable ways. Words follow patterns. It's not random gibberish written by someone who got bored during medieval times. Then there are the illustrations. Strange plants that don't exist. Women bathing in green liquid through bizarre tubes. Diagrams that look like astronomy created by someone from another dimension. At this point, humanity has spent more time trying to read this book than most people spend trying to understand their tax forms. And somehow, the taxes still make slightly more sense. 2. The Lost Colony of Roanoke, the town that simply vanished. In 1587, over 100 English settlers arrived on Roanoke Island hoping to build a new life. Things looked promising. Homes were built, families settled in, children were born. It was supposed to become a thriving colony. Then the governor sailed back to England for supplies. Unfortunately for everyone involved, Europe decided that war sounded more interesting, delaying his return for almost 3 years. When he finally came back in 1590, he expected to see a busy settlement. Smoke from chimneys, people running around, maybe someone complaining about neighbors or food shortages. Classic human behavior. Instead, there was nothing. No bodies, no signs of battle, no evidence of a struggle. Just empty buildings, slowly being swallowed by nature. The only clue was a single word carved into wood. Croatoan. That's it. No explanation. No, we moved west. No, help us. No directions. Imagine disappearing and leaving behind a message with the energy of someone texting only, "It's complicated." More than 400 years later, nobody knows exactly what happened. 3. The Dancing Plague. When hundreds of people couldn't stop dancing, history occasionally feels like reality accidentally hired comedy writers. In the summer of 1518, a woman in Strasbourg stepped into the street and began dancing. Not unusual. People dance. The problem was, she didn't stop. Hours passed, then a day, then several days. Soon other people joined her, then dozens, then hundreds. Entire groups of people danced uncontrollably through the streets for days and weeks. Some reportedly collapsed from exhaustion. Some suffered heart attacks. Others simply kept moving until their bodies gave up. Now here's where things become historically ridiculous. Local authorities looked at this strange situation and somehow reached a conclusion that sounds like it was created during a meeting where nobody wanted to admit they had no idea what was happening. Their solution? Hire musicians, build stages, encourage more dancing. Because apparently they thought the cure for unstoppable dancing was additional dancing. That's like trying to put out a house fire by adding decorative candles. Even today, nobody fully understands what caused it. Mass hysteria? Poisoned food? Psychological stress? Nobody knows. But somewhere in history sits a man who probably proudly announced, "I have solved the dancing problem," and then immediately made it much, much worse. 4. The Tamam Shud Mystery. The Dead Man with No Name. Picture this. It's 1948. Early morning on an Australian beach. A man is found lying against a seawall. He looks completely normal, nicely dressed. Polished shoes, suit and tie, no signs of violence, no obvious injuries. At first, police probably expected a simple case, maybe a heart attack, maybe an accident. Then things became weird. Nobody knew who he was. His labels had been removed from his clothing. His pockets contained almost nothing useful. No wallet, no identification, no clues. Then, investigators found a tiny piece of paper hidden inside a secret pocket sewn into his pants. On it were two words, Tamam Shud. The phrase means ended or finished. The paper had been torn from a rare book of poetry. Suddenly, things turned into what felt less like a police investigation and more like a spy movie written by someone who drank too much coffee. Who was he? Why hide his identity? Was he a spy? Was he murdered? More than 70 years later, nobody knows. Somewhere out there is history's greatest disappearing act, performed by a man whose final decision apparently included removing every possible clue and leaving investigators with the equivalent of a mysterious sticky note saying, "Good luck." 5. The Baghdad Battery, ancient people or ancient electricians. Archaeologists digging near Baghdad discovered something that looked surprisingly ordinary. A clay jar. Nothing exciting there. History is full of jars. People have been putting things into containers forever. Humans looked at holes and thought, you know what this needs? Smaller holes for storing stuff. But inside this jar was something strange. There was a copper cylinder, an iron rod, and evidence of acidic liquid residue. Scientists noticed something unsettling. If assembled correctly, this thing could actually produce electricity. 2,000 years ago, which immediately made everyone ask one important question. Why? Were ancient people using batteries? For what? Lighting? Medical treatment? Religious rituals? Gold-plating jewelry? Nobody knows. Maybe it was used for some simple purpose that we've misunderstood. Or maybe somewhere in ancient history, a guy was walking around shocking people for entertainment. Imagine being an ancient citizen asking, "How does this work?" And some inventor just staring confidently and saying, "Magic." Honestly, that explanation still works surprisingly well today. 6. The Stone Spheres of Costa Rica, giant rocks with zero answers. Imagine hiking through a jungle and suddenly finding enormous stone balls sitting in the middle of nowhere. Not rough rocks, not random boulders, perfectly shaped spheres. Some are tiny, others weigh several tons. Because apparently ancient people occasionally looked at mountains and thought, let's turn this into a giant marble. The stone spheres of Costa Rica were discovered in the 1930s, and archaeologists immediately started asking questions. Who made them? Why make them? How did people create almost perfect spheres without modern technology? Nobody knows. Some theories say they marked important locations. Others think they represented power or status. Naturally, some people immediately jump straight to aliens because humanity has a long tradition of saying, if we don't understand something, let's blame space. But here's the strangest part. Many of the spheres had been moved before proper studies could happen. People rolled them around or took them home as decorations. Imagine finding one of history's greatest mysteries and deciding, this would look fantastic beside my garden. Humanity really has a unique gift for treating priceless archaeological discoveries like lawn furniture. And if you think history is finally starting to make sense, don't relax yet. It only gets stranger. 7. The Green Children of Woolpit, the kids who came from nowhere. Back in the 12th century, villagers in England discovered something that immediately terrified them. Two children appeared near the village of Woolpit, a boy and a girl. At first glance, they looked normal. Then, people noticed something deeply unsettling. Their skin had a strange green color. Not slightly pale, not sick-looking. Actually green, as if someone accidentally adjusted the color settings on reality itself. Then, things got stranger. The children spoke a language nobody recognized. Nobody could understand a single word they said. They refused almost every type of food given to them and would eat only beans. Imagine trying to explain this situation to medieval villagers. These were people who already believed strange creatures lived in forests and weird things happened all the time. Even they looked at these kids and basically said, nope, something is wrong here. Eventually, the girl learned English and claimed they came from a place where the sun never fully shined, a place called St. Martin's Land. To this day, nobody knows what actually happened. And somewhere in history sits a mystery that sounds suspiciously like two children accidentally took the wrong exit from another dimension. 8. The Beale Ciphers, the treasure map. Nobody can solve. Human beings love treasure stories. Mention hidden gold and suddenly otherwise reasonable adults transform into movie characters ready to dig random holes in forests. Then came the Beale ciphers. In the early 1800s, a man named Thomas Beale supposedly buried a massive treasure worth millions of dollars somewhere in Virginia. Gold, silver, jewels, enough wealth to make several people immediately quit their jobs and start buying ridiculous things. Before disappearing, Beale left behind coded messages explaining where everything was hidden. 3 encrypted texts. Simple enough, right? Wrong. Only one of them has ever been solved. The decoded message describes the treasure itself, but the 2 messages containing the actual location and names of owners, still unsolved. For almost 200 years, people have tried cracking the codes. Professional cryptographers failed, amateurs failed, treasure hunters failed. Thousands searched forests, hills, caves, and fields. Imagine history watching millions of people desperately searching for treasure while quietly laughing and saying, "Oh no, you're getting warmer." 9. The Oak Island Money Pit. The hole that keeps eating money. If humans ever discover treasure on Oak Island, it will probably be worth less than the amount already spent trying to find it. The mystery started back in the late 1700s when a teenager noticed a strange depression in the ground beneath an oak tree in Nova Scotia. Naturally, instead of making sensible life choices, he thought, there could be treasure down there. Soon, people started digging. At first, everything seemed normal. Then, every 10 feet, they found mysterious wooden platforms buried underground. Dig deeper. Another platform. Dig deeper. Another one. At that point, even common sense should have stood up and said, maybe someone really wants us to stop. But humans don't work that way. The deeper they dug, the more complicated things became. Flood tunnels appeared, water filled the shaft, equipment broke, fortunes disappeared. Over 2 centuries later, millions of dollars have been spent. People have found strange artifacts, pieces of metal, old coins, and fragments of parchment, but no treasure. Oak Island has basically become history's greatest subscription service. People keep paying, and nobody knows what they're actually getting. 10. The Antikythera mechanism, the ancient computer nobody expected. Imagine dropping your phone into the ocean. Now imagine someone discovering it 2,000 years later. That's basically how shocking the Antikythera mechanism felt to historians. In 1901, divers exploring an ancient shipwreck near Greece found what looked like a corroded lump of metal. Nothing exciting. Probably just another old object covered in rust. Then scientists looked closer. Inside were gears, lots of gears, tiny, precise gears connected in ways that looked impossibly advanced. Eventually, researchers realized something unbelievable. This object could calculate astronomical positions and predict eclipses. 2,000 years ago. People weren't supposed to build things like this back then. Historians expected ancient technology to progress step by step. Instead, this thing showed up like history accidentally skipped several chapters. It's like archaeologists digging up a Roman battlefield and suddenly finding an iPad. Even stranger, nothing similar appeared again for over 1,000 years. It's as if some ancient genius created an incredible machine, showed everyone, and then humanity collectively responded. Very impressive. Now, let's get back to hitting things with swords. 11. The disappearance of the 9th Legion, Rome's missing army. Ancient Rome controlled enormous territories. Their armies marched across continents and conquered nations. These people were basically the historical version of a machine that kept winning every fight. Then one of their legions seemingly vanished. The 9th Legion contained thousands of trained soldiers. One day, records showed they existed. Then, suddenly, nothing. No dramatic final battle. No giant historical speech. No "we fought bravely" message. Just silence. Some historians think they were destroyed somewhere in Britain while fighting tribes in the north. Others believe they were transferred elsewhere, but nobody actually knows. Think about how strange this is. We're talking about thousands of soldiers disappearing from one of history's biggest empires. Imagine if an entire modern military base suddenly vanished from records and everyone just shrugged and said, "That's weird. Rome documented everything." They loved records. They wrote down details about taxes, military movements, laws, and politics. But apparently somewhere, a Roman administrator looked at thousands of missing soldiers and decided, hey, future historians can deal with this. 12. The Phaistos Disc, the ancient puzzle nobody can read. Archaeologists discovered the Phaistos disk in Crete in 1908, and immediately history created another headache. The object itself isn't very large, just a clay disk covered with strange symbols arranged in a spiral. Simple enough. Except nobody understands it. The symbols don't match known writing systems. Some images show people, animals, and objects. Others look completely unfamiliar. And because only one example exists, things become almost impossible. Imagine trying to learn English if someone handed you a single page containing random words and then disappeared forever. Good luck. Some people think it's a religious text. Others think it's a calendar, maybe a prayer, maybe instructions, maybe ancient shopping notes. Imagine historians spending decades trying to decode something only to eventually discover it says, "Need milk, need bread, stop forgetting bread." The worst part is, we may never know. Humanity could literally be staring at an ancient message for over 100 years, while history quietly watches us struggle like someone trying to remember a password from 2007. 13. The Nazca Lines, giant drawings made for someone in the sky. Ancient people occasionally did strange things. Then the Nazca civilization arrived and completely ignored normal behavior. In the deserts of Peru, enormous drawings stretch across the landscape. Spiders, monkeys, birds, strange geometric patterns. The designs are absolutely massive. Some extend hundreds of feet. The weird part? You can barely understand them from the ground. They make sense only from high above, which raises an obvious question. Who exactly were they making these for? People didn't have airplanes, no drones, no hot air balloons, just feet. That's it. Some believe the lines had religious purposes. Others think they were linked to stars or water systems. Of course, aliens eventually entered the conversation because apparently extraterrestrials have become history's unofficial customer support department. Imagine spending years making gigantic artwork across a desert without ever seeing the finished result. That's commitment. Modern people struggle to assemble furniture after reading instructions. Ancient people apparently built artwork visible from the sky. 14. The Lost Tomb of Alexander. The great Alexander conquered huge parts of the world before turning 30. He built one of history's largest empires. People knew his name across continents. Then somehow humanity lost him. Not metaphorically, literally. After his death, Alexander was buried in an elaborate tomb that became famous throughout the ancient world. Important leaders visited it. People wrote about it. Everyone knew where it was. Then centuries passed, and history somehow misplaced one of the most important graves ever created. Imagine losing your car keys. Now imagine humanity losing one of history's most famous tombs. Archaeologists searched Egypt for generations. Many believe it's beneath modern cities. Others think it was destroyed long ago. Nobody knows. Honestly, it's almost impressive. Human civilization looked at one of history's most famous men and collectively managed to perform the greatest game of hide-and-seek ever recorded. 15. The Crystal Skulls, ancient mystery or brilliant hoax. Nothing starts arguments faster than mysterious objects appearing out of nowhere. Enter the crystal skulls. Beautiful human skulls carved from crystal started appearing in museums and collections. People immediately became fascinated. Some claimed they possessed mysterious powers. Others believed they came from ancient civilizations with lost knowledge. Naturally, stories exploded. Ancient secrets, hidden energies, lost civilizations, possibly aliens because, once again, aliens apparently never miss work. The most famous skull looked incredibly detailed and impossibly precise. People wondered how ancient civilizations created something so perfect. Then modern technology examined them closely. Tiny marks suggested machine tools, modern machine tools. Suddenly, everything became awkward. But here's where the mystery survives. Nobody completely agrees where they came from or who created them. Were they brilliant fakes, misunderstood artifacts, something else entirely? History sometimes feels like opening a mystery box and discovering another smaller mystery box inside. And humanity absolutely cannot resist opening it. 16. The Copper Scroll, the treasure list. That nobody can verify, most ancient scrolls contain stories, laws, prayers, or things people considered important enough to preserve. Then archaeologists found the Copper Scroll, and history immediately got weird again. Discovered among the Dead Sea Scrolls in the 1950s, this wasn't written on paper or leather. It was engraved onto copper sheets. Somebody clearly wanted this information to survive for a very long time. Then researchers translated it. Instead of religious writings, they found something completely unexpected: a treasure list. The scroll described dozens of locations containing hidden gold, silver, and valuables buried in secret places. Not small amounts either, massive amounts. Enough treasure to make modern treasure hunters suddenly forget every responsibility in life. People immediately started searching. Caves, ruins, ancient locations, fields, nothing, no treasure, no giant discovery, nothing except frustration. Imagine receiving a treasure map from 2,000 years ago, only to realize ancient people apparently enjoyed creating the world's first impossible scavenger hunt. Somewhere in history, there may be hidden fortunes waiting underground while humanity keeps digging random holes and hoping today is finally the lucky day. 17. The Devil's Footprints. The night something walked across England winter mornings are supposed to be predictable. Snow on rooftops, cold air, people drinking coffee and complaining about weather. But in 1855, people across parts of England woke up and saw something that instantly made them uncomfortable. Footprints, strange footprints. Single-file tracks stretched for miles across the snow. But these weren't human footprints. They looked like hoof marks, small hoof marks. The tracks crossed fields, climbed walls, crossed frozen rivers, and appeared on rooftops. That's where things stopped making sense, because whatever made them apparently didn't care about obstacles. Walls? No problem. Wide gaps? No problem. Private property? Absolutely no concern whatsoever. People became terrified. Rumors spread immediately. Some thought the devil himself had gone for a nighttime walk. Others blamed strange animals. Some believed it was mass panic mixed with odd weather effects. To this day, nobody truly knows what happened. And honestly, waking up to discover mysterious footprints across your roof feels like reality sending you a message saying, "Good morning, sleep with one eye open." 18. The Sacsayhuaman Walls, rocks that shouldn't fit together. Ancient builders occasionally enjoyed showing off. Then the people of Peru decided to become absolute overachievers. At Sacsayhuaman, giant stone walls rise from the landscape. At first glance, they just look impressive. Then you get closer, and suddenly your brain starts asking uncomfortable questions. The stones fit together perfectly, not just normal perfect, ridiculously perfect. Some weigh over 100 tons, and somehow they connect without cement or mortar. Even stranger, many stones have strange shapes with dozens of angles. It's like someone dumped giant puzzle pieces from the sky. People still argue about how they moved these massive rocks. No modern cranes, no machines, no engines, just people. Imagine looking at a 100-ton stone and deciding, let's move that uphill. Even modern engineers admire these structures. Meanwhile, I sometimes struggle opening packaging without accidentally destroying the contents inside. Ancient builders apparently looked at impossible tasks and treated them like weekend hobbies. 19. The Shroud of Turin, history's most debated cloth. Some objects quietly sit inside museums. Then, some objects start arguments for centuries. The Shroud of Turin belongs firmly in the second category. It's a long piece of cloth carrying the image of a man who appears to have suffered injuries similar to descriptions of Jesus. Immediately, people became fascinated. Some believed it was one of Christianity's most important relics. Others believed it was an elaborate fake. Scientists studied it. Historians studied it. Researchers tested it repeatedly. Carbon dating suggested the cloth came from medieval times. Case closed, right? Not exactly. Other studies questioned the results. More arguments followed. And suddenly, humanity was once again trapped inside history's favorite activity, disagreeing loudly. Even today, debates continue. Was it real? Was it created by artists? Something else? Honestly, the Shroud feels like one giant historical group project where everyone insists they have the right answer, while nobody can fully prove it. 20. The Lost City of Z, the jungle that swallowed people. Deep inside the Amazon rainforest, rumors spread about a lost city. A massive civilization hidden beneath the jungle. Ancient structures, great wealth, secrets waiting to be discovered. Many dismissed the stories. Then explorer Percy Fawcett became obsessed. He believed the city was real. In 1925, he entered the jungle with his son and another companion to find it. They disappeared. Completely. No confirmed trace, no bodies, nothing. Rescue teams went searching. Some vanished. Others returned with frightening stories. Suddenly, one mystery became two mysteries. Was there really a city? What happened to Fawcett? Did hostile tribes attack? Disease? The jungle itself? Nobody knows. The Amazon already feels intimidating enough. It's full of creatures that look like nature experimenting without supervision. Adding disappearing explorers into the mix somehow makes it even more unsettling. History basically created the world's least appealing vacation brochure. 21. The Rongorongo Script, the language that lost its voice. On Easter Island, archaeologists discovered wooden tablets covered in strange symbols. At first, people thought, great, writing. Finally, something we can translate. Then reality laughed again. The symbols didn't match known languages, birds, people, shapes, strange patterns. Nothing made sense. This writing system became known as Rongorongo, and nobody has successfully translated it. The biggest problem is timing. By the time researchers seriously studied the tablets, much of the culture that created them had already disappeared. The people who knew how to read the symbols were gone. Imagine discovering a phone filled with messages after civilization collapses. No internet, no instructions, no surviving users. Good luck figuring out what emojis mean. That's basically what happened here. Humanity may be staring directly at forgotten stories, names, histories, and knowledge. But the voices that could explain everything disappeared long ago, and history once again locked the answers away and walked off smiling. 22. The wow signal, the message from somewhere out there. In 1977, a radio telescope at Ohio State University picked up something strange, very strange. Researchers routinely scanned space for radio signals. Usually they found boring things, static, background noise. The cosmic equivalent of hearing your refrigerator hum at 3 in the morning. Then suddenly a signal arrived. It was incredibly strong. It lasted exactly 72 seconds, and it looked so unusual that astronomer Jerry Amon circled it and wrote one word beside it: wow. That note became famous because, honestly, what else do you write when space suddenly acts weird? The signal seemed to come from deep space near the constellation Sagittarius. Scientists searched for it again. Nothing. Again, nothing. For decades, researchers kept listening. Still nothing. No repeat signal, no explanation. Imagine your phone ringing once, you answer, hear breathing on the other end, and then the number disappears forever. Humanity has spent nearly 50 years staring at space asking, "You gonna explain that?" Space has remained impressively committed to ignoring us. 23. The lost treasure of the Flor de la Mar ships sank all the time throughout history. Then there was the Flor de la Mar. This Portuguese ship sailed in the early 1500s, carrying one of the largest treasure collections ever assembled. Gold, jewels, rare artifacts, enough wealth to make modern billionaires suddenly start sweating. Then disaster arrived. A storm struck near Sumatra. The ship sank, and apparently the ocean immediately developed a strong interest in keeping secrets. For centuries, treasure hunters searched for it. Expeditions came and went. Millions were spent. Nothing. No giant treasure room. No mountain of gold. No dramatic ending. Just endless searching. What's funny is that humans react exactly the same way every time treasure disappears. Someone always says, "We should stop wasting money." Then another person says, "Yeah, but what if tomorrow is the day?" At this point, the ocean is basically sitting somewhere with hundreds of years of stolen treasure hidden beneath it, while humanity keeps showing up with boats and optimism. 24. The Hessdalen Lights, the sky that refuses to behave. Imagine living in a quiet valley in Norway. Mountains, fresh air, peaceful scenery. Everything feels calm. Then strange lights start appearing in the sky. Not once, not twice, repeatedly. People described glowing objects moving silently above the valley. Sometimes white, sometimes yellow, sometimes moving slowly, sometimes accelerating like they forgot physics existed. Naturally, people started freaking out. Scientists arrived with equipment. Measurements were taken. Research stations were built. Finally, everyone expected answers. Instead, researchers discovered something frustrating. The lights were real, actually real. Cameras captured them. Instruments detected them. But nobody could fully explain them. Some theories suggest unusual gases. Others mention plasma. Others think geological activity creates strange effects. But complete certainty never arrived. Imagine scientists gathering expensive equipment, collecting mountains of data and eventually reaching the conclusion, yep, weird lights definitely exist. The sky occasionally behaves like it knows we're watching and simply enjoys confusing us. 25. The Tomb of Genghis Khan, the Grave. Nobody can find Genghis Khan built one of history's largest empires. His armies conquered huge parts of the world. Millions knew his name. Then he died. And somehow, his burial place vanished. According to legends, people wanted his grave hidden forever. Some stories claim soldiers killed anyone who witnessed the funeral route. Others say horses trampled the ground afterward to erase all traces. Basically, history looked at future archaeologists and said, good luck with this one. For centuries, people searched Mongolia, mountains, valleys, remote landscapes, nothing. No giant tomb, no treasure chamber, no discovery. And this isn't some forgotten local king. This is Genghis Khan. Imagine future civilizations losing the burial place of someone like Napoleon or Abraham Lincoln. People would think humanity collectively lost its mind. Instead, historians continue searching while one of the most powerful men in history continues winning the world's longest game of hide-and-seek. 26. The Mary Celeste, the ship that arrived without people. In 1872, another ship spotted the Mary Celeste drifting alone in the Atlantic Ocean. At first, this seemed odd. Then sailors boarded it, and things became very strange. The cargo remained on board. Food was still there. Personal belongings sat untouched. The ship itself wasn't badly damaged. Everything looked almost normal, except for one tiny problem. Everyone was gone. The captain disappeared. His wife disappeared. His daughter disappeared. The entire crew disappeared. No signs of fighting. No obvious disaster. No pirate attack. Nothing. Imagine entering a house and discovering dinner on the table, lights on, television running, but absolutely nobody anywhere. Investigators proposed countless explanations: mutiny, sea monsters, pirates, explosions, weather events. Aliens probably got dragged into the conversation eventually because apparently aliens maintain a full-time schedule. Over 150 years later, nobody knows exactly what happened. The ocean looked at humanity and quietly said, "Some mysteries are staying with me." 27. The impossible eel migration. Nature's greatest secret. Scientists understand incredible things. We split atoms, we walked on the moon, we built computers powerful enough to put endless cat videos into human civilization. Then eels arrived and embarrassed everyone. For centuries, people had absolutely no idea where eels came from. Seriously, Aristotle once believed they simply appeared from mud, which honestly sounds ridiculous now, but at the time people probably nodded and thought, seems reasonable. Then scientists discovered something strange. European eels travel thousands of miles across the ocean to a place called the Sargasso Sea. That's where they reproduce. The problem? Nobody has ever actually witnessed the complete process. Nobody has seen them mating in the wild. Nobody fully understands how they navigate. Nobody knows exactly how baby eels return across entire oceans. Imagine getting directions from a creature whose brain is roughly the size of a walnut and realizing it somehow understands global navigation better than you understand your GPS. Even nature occasionally likes reminding humanity, you people are smart, but not that smart. Which mystery broke your brain the most? Tell us below if reality glitched.